Hello, the lesson today is about law in traditional China and falls into two sections. Section 1, Rule of Law, a flash in the pan. Section 2, Law in traditional China, its characteristics. Since the Western Han Dynasty, Confucianism has played a key part in the Chinese culture for over 2,000 years. China, as one of the four ancient civilizations in the world, is famous as a nation of rights, which, however, differs greatly to Western countries that claim themselves to be ruled by law. Confucius held the belief that rule of rights was superior to rule of law, as he saw that rituals could exert more positive impact on people than law. Why did Confucius adhere to this belief? He argued administrative regulations and penal punishment cannot develop people a sense of shame. However, if people are led with virtue and kept in order with rituals, they can develop a sense of shame. What's more, they will order themselves. This has had profound influences on the traditional China. However, the thought was not established until the early Western Han Dynasty. Here comes the question: when and how was the thought established? In the early Western Zhou dynasty in the 11th century BC, to maintain their patriarchal systems under the auspices of the Duke of Zhou, the previous patriarchal systems and traditions were supplemented and revised. A set of norms and corresponding regulations, laws, and rituals were developed. This is known as the Duke of Zhou creating the system of rituals. The thought that the state should be ruled by rituals began to come into operation. It has prevailed in the Chinese feudal history thereafter, but a special period, that is, the Warring States period. Then, what has happened in that period and before that? During the spring and autumn period, the Zhou royal family was on the decline, which led to the rituals collapsing. In 543 BC, Sicheng of the Zheng state had articles of law cast on a tripod, which marks the birth of the first written codes of law in ancient China. When it came to the Warring States period, where states felt urgent to launch political reforms in the hope to become strong for survival. Strong ones hope to get stronger through reforms so as to annex other weak states. Qin was one of those states. In the late 5th century BC, the Qin state was desolate, small, and weak. It was on the edge of being caught up by other states. To survive, Duke Xiong of Qin appointed Wei Yang to launch political reforms in the state. Wei Yang, who is later called Shangyang, is one of the most outstanding legalists during the Warring States period. To make Qin people believe the reforms he was going to carry out, he told people, if anyone moved the 3-foot pole from the south gate of the county city to the north gate, he could get 10 ye gold, but nobody believed his words. Then he added the reward up to 50 ye gold. After long hesitation, there was at least one man who tried. To everyone's amazement, he did get 50 ye gold. With Shangyang's thorough and successful reforms, law was enforced strictly in the Qin state. People of different classes were transformed to act in accordance with the law, and Qin was rapidly becoming strong militarily, politically, and economically. At last, it became the strongest of all states. Other states carried out similar reforms as well, such as Han by Shenbo Hai and Zhao by Shengdao, both of them too being very famous legalists at that time. Actually, during the Warring States period, the rule of law became predominant over the rule of rituals. With the succeeding dukes' efforts, Qin defeated the other 6 states and unified China in 221 BC. But the ruling of Qin dynasty was overthrown only 16 years later. Why? Why didn't the rule of law exert the same tremendous effects on Qing dynasty? Of various reasons, one is evident. The harsh laws that had once been enforced in the Qing state were still enforced in Qing dynasty, which intensified the conflicts between the ruling class and the ruled people. As a consequence, extreme indignation and hatred filled the furious people. This, therefore, quickened the fall of Qing dynasty. With the bitter lesson, would emperors of the early Western Han dynasty favor rule of law? The answer is no. The emperors in the early Western Han dynasty observed the Huang law doctrines, that is, rule by non-action and the policy of giving the people peace and security. Particularly after the rebellion of the Seven Kingdoms, Emperor Wu was determined to make power centralized. He took the Confucian scholar Dong Zhongshu's proposal, deposing 100 only Confucianism. Ever since, Confucianism has become the orthodox ideology of the over 2,000-year feudal autocracy in China. The rule of rituals took the place of rule of law to govern again, and the rule of law was reduced to provide assistance. The rule of law, which had shone so brightly in the Warring States period, became dimmed in the long Chinese feudal autocracy. It is just like a flash in the pan. In a nation of rituals, what is law characterized by in traditional China? In contrast with rituals, law has four principal characteristics. Most significantly, law in the traditional China takes ritual priority as its soul. It is emphasized that law is subordinate to rituals, which can be demonstrated from the three perspectives. To begin with, law's contents are less rich than rituals. Rituals are composed of human feelings, human relations, morals, and good customs. Law, however, merely refers to penal codes. Therefore, rituals have rather wide applications than law. Secondly, the means to enforce law is tougher than the means to implement rituals. Rituals cultivate people patiently and meticulously. It persuades people to be good through reasoning. Unlikely, law tries to prevent people from breaking laws by punishing. To escape punishment, people are forced to obey law. As a result, law may fail to develop other good virtues in the people. Does law have the same social effects as rituals? No. So, it must be built into the system of the rule of rituals. Hence, law is secondary to rituals. Confucius said, if music and rituals cannot flourish, the execution of the penalty is not proper. Apparently, Confucius believed that rituals were unable to rule the people better than law. In summary, the first characteristic of law, its subordinate status to rituals, is demonstrated from the three perspectives: its less rich contents, different means of enforcement, and different social effects. What is its second characteristic? The traditional law is characterized by its core, human feelings, and its basis, morals. Its core, human feelings, are elaborated by four types of relations. Be dear to one's relatives, especially one's parents. The inferior must respect and obey the superior. The younger generations should be respectful to the older generations. And the male and the female are different. Men are superior to women. It's improper for men and women to touch each other's hands when passing objects. Secondly, to punish evildoers and encourage people to do good, law must maintain loyalty, filial piety, integrity, and virtuousness. It is quite clear that Chinese traditional law aims primarily to maintain the feudal hierarchy and ethical morality rather than just to punish evildoers. Here is is a story, a father who had stolen a sheep. Story goes like this. In a village, there was a man called 2person. When his father took a sheep and the sly, he reported his father to the local authorities. When asked his opinion about this 2person, council replied, "Those who are true in my village conduct themselves differently. A father covers for his son, and a son covers for his father, if they do the similar thing, and being true lies in this." What did council mean in the story? He implied that family love was more important than law. One was supposed to protect his father regardless of law. In other words, when human love was in conflict with the law should give way. But here comes another question. On what purpose is the law put into force? This involves the third characteristic of the traditional law. The ultimate purpose to enforce law is to eliminate law itself. Council's ideal was to create a state of virtues to attain to a non-lawsuit ideal. He wished there would be no lawsuit if a society of comity was built. The state of virtues in Council's ideal has two significant signs. The first one is to give up the evil and follow the good, just as Council's words go. Like others, adhere the case with the purpose to make proceedings no longer happen. While the Western law aims to uphold justice, in the Chinese feudal society, law was enforced primarily to achieve social harmony. This is the second sign of the state of virtues. Kongzi portrayed his utopian society like this. So, treacherous conspiracy will not happen. Theft, rebellion, and harmful things will not occur either. Therefore, people don't have to close their doors, and that is what the ideal society is like. Shang Yan proposed that penal punishment be applied to eliminate law. If so, all would go well. From the two signs of the state of virtues, it's evident that law in traditional China didn't aim to punish. Instead, it was to make law itself eliminated, so that all people would live in harmony. To achieve Council's ideal of state of virtues, how should the law be enforced? According to Confucianism, the rule of man is the best answer. This is the fourth characteristic of law. In ruling a state, Council believed man to be more important than law. He said, when our country is ruled by a man of goodness, after 100 years, cruelty can be eliminated, and the penalty for killing can be abolished too. The ideological essence of a rule of man is the ruler should set himself as a role model and discipline himself strictly. Council said, when the ruler behaves properly, even if a decree is not issued, people will go to practice it. If not, even if the decree is issued, people will not obey it. It's clear that Confucianism holds belief that the country can be ruled well by a man of goodness, and the law cannot perform so well as such a man. Therefore, since Emperor Wu Di, rule of virtues has been accepted to be the ideal governing means through the long Chinese feudal society, and the law has become secondary to virtues. In the grand political background, as China is now on the way to becoming a modern socialist country, its law attached due importance to in today's China. After more than 30 years fast economic development since 1978, Chinese government is now dedicated to constructing sound legal systems. As Chinese, what can we do to contribute to this great country and the rule of law?